All right, so before we get started on this video, I must say, growing up, I grew up in the woods here in North Georgia, and my dad was a land surveyor. He's still a land surveyor. So we had that going on, and him and my mom and their friends loved to camp. And so growing up, we camped all over the mountains, down to Florida, fished, loved to fish. So we were outside all the time. So when I was 13 or 14, we were fishing at the Culprit Watershed here in Madison County. And we'd been there all day and it was getting dark. And before we left out of the woods on the edge of the lake, I found this knife. Freaking love this knife. It's the first knife I had ever owned. I skinned so many fish, cleaned so many fish with this knife. So Dad was like, cool, that's your knife. Never had a sheath. I would just wrap it in some cloth or something and take it with me. So that was my first thing that got me on this journey. And to be fair, growing up, you know, there was Disney, Davy Crockett, Daniel Boone, then there was Grizzly Adams. There were all these shows on in the wild. Well, like I said, we were in the woods as well. So a lot of this gear kind of was influenced maybe by some of those shows. So got the knife. I told my uncle about it, and he was like, well, you need a skinner. So he gave me one of his old timers. And of course, it's got orange flagging on it because my dad being a surveyor, he had lots of orange flagging, and I would put it on my stuff so I didn't lose it. So now I got two knives. All right. Harmonica. My dad loved playing the harmonica. He always had one, so he gave me this one I still have. And that's something I don't see in a lot of people's gear, is some way to make music. That's, maybe it's not for everybody, but I always love to have a little something to make music. All right, so it's a good start, right? As I got a little bit older, and I was surveying more with Dad, he was like, you need a compass, and you need to know how to use it. So I learned very early on how to use a compass. This has saved my butt so many times, lost in the middle of the woods. That can get kind of scary. So that, and a snake bite kit. This is old vintage. I've had this since I was a kid. This is great. I've taken it apart many times and checked it out, but luckily I've never had to use it. Although, I've come across some pretty scary snakes in the woods. So we got that going on. All right. A little bit after that, we were surveying and somebody was having a yard sale, and I got this knockoff Swiss Army knife, which is, I don't know, I've had this thing for, like I said, long time. Never had any issues. It's still pretty tight. And of course I would put some flagging right here so I wouldn't lose it. So now I got that stuff. So surveying in the woods, man, you come across some crazy stuff. Old moonshine stills, weed patches, old houses, roads. So yeah, it's pretty awesome. One day, cutting some, we were going through a big old privet patch, which is crazy. And I found this bag. It was nasty. Took it home, washed it. So now I got a side bag I can carry some of my stuff in. And I have re-sewn this thing so many times. Still a great bag. So now I got a couple of knives, harmonica, got a bag. And I'm like, all right, starting to come along pretty good. So a couple years go by. So anytime we needed things for surveying, maybe looking for some handles or something for some bush axes, we would go to the Normal Town hardware store in Athens, Georgia. So cool, old school hardware store. But right next door to it was an Army surplus store. Which every time I would go in there, I could just stay for hours and hours and hours because I loved looking at all that stuff. So as I, working and getting a few bucks, I would pick up a few things gear-wise. One of the first things was this really cool old shovel. This is still one of my favorites. I've got some newer ones like Cold Steel and stuff, but man, there's nothing like this beast of a shovel. Started using it right away. So now I got a shovel. All right, cool. I Oh, something to cook, some kind of cookware. So some of the stuff that I got from the Army surplus store was on sale. Because if it was $10, but it was on sale for $5, that meant I could get another piece of gear. So I got these two, and I've used the hound out of these. I still use them. These are great. And when I got those two, I got this cup. Because, I mean, like I said, a lot of the stuff we were watching, they had camp cups, for their coffee and their all this stuff. So I was using this when my kids were younger, and in my truck, and I'd put it in the center with the hump, and it would always fall over, of course, spill coffee everywhere. So then I put some Velcro in the bottom, and there, never spilled again. The kids thought that was pretty awesome. So now the kit's getting a little bigger. All right. There was a shop in Athens, Earth Household. They had crystals and herbs and books and stuff, and some cool stuff. And somebody there had made this little pouch, and I've got it, and I'd carry it with me with this gear. If I find stuff, I'd find a lot of quartz crystals and arrowheads and stuff like that. So that's something I've carried with me. So I'd always pretty much camped on the ground. Even as a kid, I would take my Scooby-Doo sleeping bag and go and hang out under a tree or something. And so one day, totally forgot about this, Dad gave me his Army sleeping bag. It also came with this cover. That sleeping bag might not be the lightest, but it's the damn warmest. You have to sleep in it butt-ass naked for sure. And so I started upgraded to that. Got this gear, got this awesome sleeping bag. So like I said, the Army surplus store was just, anytime I had some money, I would go in and get something. So Sarah and I, when we were dating, we went up with some friends to Tray Mountain. If you go up to Tray Mountain, halfway up you can park and then catch the Appalachian Trail to the top. We were always camping up at the top. But this time we were cruising up the side road, dirt road, and we thought we heard some shoals. So we climbed down. It was very steep. And sure enough, the sides came in like this. There's a big boulder that went across, and the water was coming over, and it went around this knoll with this giant juniper tree. We're like, that would be a great place to camp. So a few months later, it's my birthday, and like I said, I didn't have a tent. I just slept on the ground, but now I've got this hot woman that wants to go camping with me, right? So it's like, I'm not gonna make her sleep on the ground. Luckily, my parents gave me my first tent, and this was the first kind I'd seen like this. It's I guess like an umbrella style. It just pops up, and it's pretty good size. So Sarah was pretty impressed. So anyway, we got there. Oh, okay. So now I got a tent. So we're planning this camping trip, and I'm like, well, I got to go to the Army surplus store, get the last goods for this trip. Well, I decided I needed this giant Bowie knife, made in Pakistan. But this, I've got a newer one. Crap, this thing is still massive. I cut trees down with this thing, got camp ready, and I still have it. So I figured I needed this to protect my girlfriend, hopefully, from bears. So when I was there, like every wilderness person, you got to have some long johns. You got to have the Union suit. So I got this Union suit, and I wore this and that knife so damn much for years and years. I just loved just wearing those things. And ended up getting this suede backpack. Still looks pretty brand new to me. So I got all this gear, and Sarah and I go camping, and that's it. A few years later, I think we got married and started getting into some more gear. But I just wanted to share some of this stuff with you. Like I said, I've had some of this since I was a young lad up until my 20s, and this was the gear that I used all the time, and I still use bits and pieces of it. So anyway, I hope that was entertaining. Please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. More importantly, get outside and be awesome. Totally forgot about this a few more pieces of gear. All right, so after I found this, a few years later, my parents felt like I was old enough, mature enough to own the family .22 rifle. And this has been such a great honor to still own this. All right, so flash forward to when I was saying Sarah and I were going camping when I got this a knife. I also got this jacket, this army jacket, which I wore every day for years and years, and it's just about worn completely out. So, all right. So when we were camping up in the mountains, Sarah and I were coming down, I stopped by a shop and they had this hat. So I felt like that was, I should have had it beforehand, but I wore this later on. It has to be really cold to wear this fur hat, by the way. So Sarah and I get married a few years later, and I start a new job, and I'd been working with my dad full time for years. And so as a present for my new job, he gave me his Savage 20 gauge with a poly choke at the end. Unbelievable. So that was 31 years ago, and that's the end of this era of equipment, this gear. I've loved every bit of this. Like what I've told you, it has a story. And then later I came into some new gear, but this gear is just still, it's dear to my heart, man. Anyway, thanks for coming back and watching this crazy nonsense.